Hello, listeners. This is Janine
and Kristen
from Henrico Casa. You are listening to our podcast, Vigilant Voices. Living life every day. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Vigilant Voices podcast.
Yes, this is our podcast created and produced specifically by Henrico Casa. But listener, did you know that we are just one of the 27 CASA programs across the Commonwealth of Virginia?
That's right, Kristen. And the CASA model, which we've certainly talked about here, using volunteers to serve as advocates, filling in gaps in our court and child welfare system, actually started in Seattle in the 70s, and it has grown to more than 950 programs nationwide, and 27 of which are here in Virginia.
Yep. And oversight of those CASA programs that are here in Virginia falls to our Department of Criminal Justice Services, or we just typically say DCJS.
Right.
And their goal is to provide programs with standards to help ensure consistency, in how we all operate as CASA programs across the state.
Right. And DCJS's state coordinator for the CASA programs is the lovely Melissa O'Neill, who is here with us today. We're very excited about that.
Yes. And as a local CASA program, we just appreciate Melissa's leadership and policy guidance. But even so, we just love her caring personality.
We sure
welcome,
Melissa.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you guys today.
We are excited to chat. So, Melissa, before we dive into all of the things related to CASA, we always ask our guests to share a little bit more about themselves. So we'd love to hear a little bit about you and just what's your story and how you became the statewide coordinator of CASA.
Well, my story goes back a really long way.
All right, that's okay.
So my mom was actually a social worker.
Okay.
And so I grew up in a single parent home. So I spent a lot of time hanging out with her in her workplaces.
Okay.
And right around age 16, I started thinking about what did I want to do when I, grew up?
Right.
What did I want to do? What did I want to become? And so my thoughts were at the time, I either wanted to have a career in musical theater.
Okay.
Okay.
Very cool.
Or a career in social work. So specifically, I thought if I pursued social work, I wanted to work with children who'd been abused or neglected.
Okay.
So just to be sure that that was the right path for me, my mom brought home slides at the time. That's how they trained doctors and social workers. So she brought home slides of children who'd been abused or neglected. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting on the couch in our living room and picking up each one of those slides out of the box and putting them up to the light and just bawling.
Yeah. Oh, Melissa.
And looking at all of these sweet, innocent babies who had just these horrific injuries. And afterward, my mom just sat quietly in the chair, and I put the lid back on the box, and my mom said, well, what do you think?
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, now more than ever. I know
That's amazing. Yeah.
I know this is what I need to do.
Wow.
So I pursued my bachelor's in social work at the University of Toledo. That's where we lived. And my very first job was a CPS worker.
Okay.
And then I held various other positions at that DSS agency, including in foster care and emergency on call. So I really had the full
full picture
kind of exposure.
Sure.
There. Then I moved on. I got this great job at the juvenile court.
Yeah.
And in that job, I chaired what I would say is the first iteration of like a FAP team.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we would know here as a FAP team. And one of the tasks there included we're looking at some policy issues at the local level and trying to figure out how we could collaborate to make change. And that was it. I got bit by the policy bug.
There you
go. And so it was at that point that I decided that I really liked that idea of how could you affect change at that level. So I decided I needed to pursue my master's degree. And I ended up in Tennessee. No, I had to move, so I may as well move somewhere I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and got my master's degree in administration and planning.
Okay.
While I was there, I did an internship at a state level the Department of Mental Health
Okay.
and in the Children and Youth Services section. And the people that were really, really good at their jobs there
Yeah.
had a lot of experience at what I call time on the streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I realized I needed a little more of that.
Right.
So after I graduated, I got a job with the YMCA.
Okay.
And it was what we call the Y Without Walls. And we worked with court-referred youth who had, we worked with their whole family. And by the time I left that job 7 years later, I had become the associate executive director.
Okay.
So I'd seen lots of growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Had all the experiences of board, fund development, staff supervision, program development, all the things.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we came to move to Richmond in 1997,
Yeah.
I saw the ad in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do anybody remember that?
We do. We remember these
Ads in newspapers.
I do. The
Yeah.
little job descriptions. You
right.
circle the one
Yeah,
you want.
Exactly, in the newspaper.
That's
and
right.
all of the things that was for the CASA coordinator, all of the requirements, I was like, I got that.
Yeah.
Got that.
Like a
got that.
checklist.
Like, check
yeah.
that box. Yeah.
I checked them all. I said, that's my job.
Cool.
And here we are.
That's
That's
amazing.
So I will just add one additional point,
Yeah.
and that is to say that in all of my travels and experiences, when talking with the most remarkable people who are involved in helping and healing children and families, you so very often find that we each have our own story.
yeah.
And I will tell you that that's what I call the why
Yeah.
of the work. And I certainly have my own story.
Yeah.
That's a big driver for me in this work. And that's just that I want to be sure that children are seen and heard and protected.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting to when you really get to know people,
sure.
what it is in their personal history.
Driving them.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. And that
Absolutely.
passion is what makes you so good at
So good
your
at this
job. You know,
work.
I find when I talk to people.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, we gave a quick overview in the intro about the state CASA programs. And listener, we are trusting that you are familiar with CASA because of all the things Janine and I have said over the 100+ episodes of Vigilant Voices. But Melissa, can you kind of tell us like how the programs are organized or what that looks like to say that DCJS is providing oversight to the programs?
Sure. So in order to operate a CASA program in Virginia, you must come under the administrative oversight of DCJS.
Right.
Okay.
So there's no program that is able to just say, I want to be a CASA program in this locality.
Right.
You have to come through DCJS.
Yeah.
So, and you have to demonstrate compliance with state regulations.
Right.
So in 1990, there was legislation that was passed that enabled CASA to
Okay.
exist in Virginia. So we always refer to that as the enabling legislation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that there's not a mandate for CASA. In fact, we just 2 years
We
ago,
did.
we had the opportunity given to us by the legislature to conduct a study about whether or not we should mandate
Okay.
CASA in every locality. And the answer that the work group gave back was no, we should not mandate CASA. So the legislation allows for CASA to exist under these conditions. The code identified DCJS as the agency to administer the programs.
Okay.
It further directed DCJS to promulgate those regulations and then to administer any funding that would be allocated
Okay.
through the General Assembly to local programs. The code also directs DCJS to appoint a CASA State Advisory Committee
Right.
Okay.
that advises the department on any matters that are related to CASA overall. But one important distinction that I would add about how CASA programs are constructed across the state is that the code does not direct DCJS to operate the
Okay.
programs. And that distinction is really important because that means that that responsibility is left to the local CASA program entity.
Right.
So like here in Henrico, the Henrico Board of Directors
Right.
is the operational authority. we have a few programs in the state that are under the supervision of a governmental entity. And then we have some programs that have the oversight of a umbrella organization, a nonprofit organization. So that's what it means when you say that, when you talk about how CASA programs are operated in Virginia. So I want to go on and just say that the code, we're in the code.
Right. I was going to say, maybe you can go into that a little bit of just, what does that mean to be in the code?
So we have, we get our authority to operate. CASA programs have an authority to operate in each locality, and that's given to them through the Code of Virginia, which you'll find for any code nerds out there in 9.1-151 through 158.
Okay.
And so what you'll find in that section of the code, it comes under the Department of Criminal Justice Services sections. And the code addresses a variety of issues, including what is the role of DCJS, which I just shared.
Yeah.
And what are the local programs' powers and duties? What can you expect from a local program, and what are they required to do? And then what is the CASA volunteer? What are their duties? Which that's the one that I reference all the time. That's what most people.
True.
This is what you can do.
This is what you can.
And you can't do anything else. And then what are the powers and duties that regarding case assignments and qualifications? There's very specific qualification requirements set forth in the code, and training requirements. And then, of course, immunity of volunteers and staff, which is significant. Notice of hearings and proceedings, how that's to take place. And then, this is another big one, inspection and copying of records. And the confidentiality requirements. So those are the big pieces that just the overarching requirements that are in the Code of Virginia. But then when you go on to the regulations, that, which is also law, that I guess gives some further explanation.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to say that.
It is, the best way to say it, into what the requirements are.
Yeah. Thank you so much for explaining all that. I think, loosey-goosey is the word that's coming to mind, which I don't that sounds silly to even use, but I feel like if you're not familiar with the CASA program, it's just like, oh, it's just a nonprofit that popped up, and it's like, no, let me tell you how this is incorporated into the code and that this is...
There are legal requirements, and the code and the regs set those parameters. I often try to describe it as there are guardrails, and so I think you're right. A lot of people think, oh, that's a volunteer program. Yes, it is, but there are very stringent requirements on the participants within CASA. I just did a presentation last week, and I had a few folks come up and say, I had no idea. Because I think that's one of the things we always try to emphasize, just how what those legal parameters are.
There's such a credibility there, for sure. So you mentioned training as you were explaining the different areas of oversight. But, recently, and I know this because Henrico Casa was a part of it, we have rolled out a new statewide training to train advocates who are volunteers in order to perform their court advocacy. What has that looked like? What has that rollout been like? What have you experienced out there?
Our listeners can't see, but I'm beaming.
She is grinning.
Yes. This was a major project that was a collaborative effort between DCJS and our network state leadership team, specifically the training committee. And I will just say one little caveat here. This is a method of, I guess just method's not the right word, but how we operate between CASA as the network and CASA at DCJS is we really seek to collaborate. And this is a shining example of that collaboration. And we do it in many other areas as well. But this was truly a labor of love and long suffering. But the Virginia Case Studies curriculum started right here in Henrico.
Yes, it did.
Over 10 years ago. This program developed it and then shared it with the entire network.
Right.
And DCJS was a partner in that
Definitely
sharing.
helped us roll that out.
Yeah. And so we, about 4 years ago, we were finally at the place where we said we really are ready to revise this curriculum.
Okay.
And our training team was ready to take that on.
Right.
And it was a, what's the word, behemoth?
Yeah. A major project.
Major project, yeah.
Because think 50 hours of training, listener, to
Yeah.
give you a feel for
Yeah.
like it's a curriculum for 50 hours
Yeah,
of training.
or it can be done.
Yeah.
Some of our programs aren't doing 50. You guys
Okay.
are.
Yeah.
Henrico's is doing 50. Some programs are doing 36 to 40
Okay.
or more. But it is, to say we're excited is just completely an understatement.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about what it is. It's a pre-service training program that helps our volunteers to become, to be ready to advocate for children. It uses a fictional, realistic case
Yes.
as the basis of the training. And it's grounded in adult learning best practices.
Yeah.
And the training offers relevance, engagement, and hands-on application through these realistic case scenarios.
Right.
So what happens is that participants are able to build essential advocacy skills like critical thinking,
Yeah.
empathy,
Right.
clear communication within the context of these real world decision making
Right.
experiences. So what we're finding, what we found when we rolled it out the first time, and then what we think will really happen now that it's charged up and really improved.
Right.
We're super excited about it. This training will better prepare our CASA volunteers for their role. It will improve retention.
Yeah.
And it'll
Yeah.
reduce the need for our staff to have to provide just all follow-up.
Right.
Or hand-holding,
Yeah.
if you will. And it'll result in a smoother transition into their active casework. And hopefully they'll keep taking cases.
That's right.
Yeah.
Retention,
Yeah.
obviously. So during the month of January, we, DCJS hosted, along with the network, hosted 20 CASA programs who attended
Yeah.
these training of facilitators.
Which is really exciting.
Yes. We weren't sure. We
Yeah.
didn't push it. We were like,
Right.
if you want to come,
Right.
we're ready to do this.
Right.
So 20 programs attended, and we had 43 staff who attended these sessions in January, which I will say we dodged all the snow.
It
did.
all aligned
Which-
perfectly.
right. we were feeling quite encouraged about that. And then we're planning another summer training of
Okay.
facilitators for the programs that wanted to come, but it just didn't fit in their
Sure.
schedule.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
yes, it's a great example of just the partnership
Yeah.
that we have between DCJS and the network. And I'm really appreciative of just how DCJS does its work with constituents and recognizing the expertise in the field,
Yeah.
and then finding a way to build on that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many examples of that that I've experienced in my long tenure.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Well, and speaking of just sort of long tenure and seeing other things, this is April, which April in our world is Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so it's a very important month for our CASA programs about raising awareness, about our work. And so, many of our programs have what we call Wear Blue Days, which is kind of the color associated with the prevention of child abuse, or plant some pinwheel gardens. But, have you seen anything over the years that you've been with DCJS that are just really collaborative or interesting efforts that our network has participated in?
Well, as you mentioned, most of our programs have partnered with the Prevent Child Abuse America and to plant pinwheel gardens.
Yeah.
And what I have seen is that they will do that. They'll seek to plant those gardens in public spaces,
Right.
and
High visibility, right? Just
right,
Yeah, uh-huh.
high visibility, high traffic. They will use those as opportunities for creating awareness, whether that's through media or coming together with collaborative partners
Yeah.
through, just whether it's just all of the people that and systems that you work with. I've seen that. I've seen proclamations, and then just making sure that the visibility is out there, so that pinwheel symbol, which is the symbol of a carefree childhood,
Right.
Yeah.
which I remember when they transferred over to that being
Yeah.
the symbol, I was like, this is perfect.
This is it.
Yeah, this is good.
So those are all really excellent ways and opportunities to create that awareness. One of the things I know that a lot of our programs do is really flood their social media
Yeah.
during the month of April, and then also tie it to their own local program
Yeah.
and what the needs are in their own local communities.
Yeah.
In terms of volunteers,
Right.
they need volunteers, or just increasing awareness. So
Right.
the other thing I would add is that the Virginia chapter of Prevent Child Abuse is Families Forward. That's
Right.
the name of the organization. And they have a toolkit that folks can get. One of the things I saw on there, and you guys may have seen this, but they have, if you're having an event where there's going to be children around, there's a pinwheel coloring.
Yeah.
we've used
Yeah,
that
we
and
have
loved
used it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And we can link to that in
Yeah,
our show
that's a great
notes,
idea.
too,
Yeah.
which is great.
So that's something that folks can use, and I think our national organization has some
Yeah.
toolkits that come out, and
They do, too.
and folks can use that. So, but yeah, the Wear Blue Days, planting pinwheel gardens,
Yeah.
recognizing partners,
Right.
all of those things I've seen happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's always neat timing for CASA programs because Child Abuse Prevention Month is also like Volunteer Appreciation Month. And so the
yeah.
timing
Yeah.
aligns
Yes.
where it's like a
Yes.
great chance to shout out people.
Right.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing all of those ideas. Let's see. So, Melissa, one kind of consistent question that we ask all our guests on the show is about your vision for children. And you know that for Henrico Casa and all Casa programs, we have a vision for children to have a safe home. But is there anything you would want to add to that? Just basic line.
I really loved this question. So I think about it because while so much of my work at DCJS is at the policy level,
Right.
and at a data level, and so much of my work can seem to be really far removed from that individual child,
Yeah.
but I remain laser focused on this vision as I approach my to-do list.
Yeah.
And it's just always been a part of it. And so my heart and vision for children and families in Virginia is that they would be seen, heard, and protected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that in this process of being seen and heard and protected, that they would grow into the lives that they were meant to live. That they would live into their full capacity in all of their strength and their talents and essence that they were created for. And that really came home to me in this last couple of years when I sat on a child death review panel. And we would review these cases where of child deaths as a result of abuse or neglect.
Yeah.
And I would always think about these little ones that we lost. And what mystery might they have solved?
Yeah.
What beauty might they have brought into the world? What problem might they have figured out?
Yeah.
Right.
And what talent did they have?
Yeah.
So I think about the work that we do and all that data that I'm
Yeah.
collecting,
Yeah.
Sure.
or that policy that I'm thinking about. I think about the work that CASA volunteers do to strengthen families and to strengthen children's lives, that they are able to make sure that our children are achieving that vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's beautiful.
beautiful.
Melissa.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's right. I mean, just, what could they have become, right? Like, what was their potential? And shouldn't we want to strive for all children to be able to reach that, and have those opportunities
Yeah.
to do so? So, Melissa, we've got one last question as we wrap up, but boy, we could keep talking to you forever. But just as we think of just how beautifully you described what that vision is, maybe we'd like to try to leave our listeners with a small step that they can take, a little call to action. And so, what simple call to action would you leave us with to moving closer to that vision?
Well, obviously, I would like everyone who has ever considered becoming a CASA to take that next
Look
step.
up that local program, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But realizing that being a CASA isn't a role for everyone. Sure. We know that. And so my next call to action is to, if you can't be a CASA, really think about it.
We need you.
Just look into it. But if that's not what you feel you're called to do, my next call to action is to find a way to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Whether it's with your neighbors, the kids in your neighborhood, your own family members, find a way to lean in. Don't pull back, lean in. Just any opportunity that you could think of, tutoring kids, reading to kids, finding a way to be that trusted adult in a child's life, because we know that makes an incredible difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Find some way to have a positive impact on this next generation.
Yeah. 'Cause they need to be seen and heard and protected.
Right.
And that's yeah. Thank you for reminding
you.
us. Yeah. Thank you for listening to Vigilant Voices, Henrico Casa's podcast. We have a vision for all children to live in safe, healthy homes. You can help us make that happen. Tell a friend about our podcast and find us on social media.
I believe in the better days.